In 2015, Star Wars came back. Force Awakens, a movie that was generally well liked, but was ultimately the first domino in Disney utterly destroying the franchise, so of course we received a LEGO tie-in to capitalize on the situation. Somebody had to keep the money rolling in. The game feels very preemptive, to say the least. Star Wars was always the most popular LEGO subseries, given it was the first, so I understand the urgency, but the game definitely feels stretched thin. 11 of its 12 main chapters are an adaptation of The Force Awakens, but the prologue is the finale of Return of the Jedi. While its bonus and DLC levels are based on shorts from the Resistance Rises animated LEGO Star Wars shorts, the novelization, which includes a few extra details, and the comic Star Wars Special C-3PO1, where C-3PO gets that stupid fucking red arm, plus a number of made-up but plausible scenarios to kill time. Much like LEGO The Hobbit, jumping the gun introduced a lot of awkwardness into this game. LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens, released about 6 months after the movie in 2016, was, of course, on everything. 3DS, Wii U, PlayStation 3, 4, and Vita, Xbox 360 and One, PC, and mobile. It's not a hard game to get a hold of. In the same way as LEGO Star Wars 3, The Force Awakens does feel like a bit of a back-to-basics moment. The LEGO games have been increasingly focused on their open-world stuff in the time between the prior Star Wars games, and that is an element. But the 5 hub worlds are all fairly small. Jakku and Starkiller could vaguely be called medium-sized, Dakwar and Takodana small, and the Millennium Falcon is outright tiny. Each has some gold bricks to find, a few missions to do, varying between simple fetch quests, races, and ship combats. They're cute and serviceable hubs, but the main focus is back on the levels, and they're LEGO Star Wars levels. Pretty good ones, usually. The basics are all in place: action, puzzles, a tiny bit of platforming. The biggest gimmicks are slight combat improvements, like a combat meter that builds up when hitting opponents and charges up to a super move that can be unleashed, and third-person shooting segments, where you can move back and forth between small bits of cover while ducking in and out to shoot enemies. These are fine. The movement and shooting is smooth and satisfying. There's usually some little twists, like shooting a building to collapse in on a turret, and while they do appear a lot, they don't tend to have much substance to them and only last a few minutes each. Surprisingly, The Force Awakens was the first game in a while to kind of strip back the abilities list. Jedi and Sith can cut holes with their lightsabers and use the Force on certain objects, some of which are obviously Dark Force only, and have agility to do wall running in small context-sensitive sections, although a few non-Jedi like Rey also get this ability. Gunners can shoot targets, grapple onto hooks, or pull things down with their grapples. A variety of characters have thermal detonators to blow up silver stuff, gold stuff breaks to rapid fire and flamethrowers, the latter of which also melts ice. Scanners can detect hidden objects, commanders can lead small groups of allied NPCs for group grappling or blowing up gold objects. Small guys can crawl through tunnels. Polearm type weapons can activate pole levers or stick their pole into walls to swing off of if they have agility. Not all of the pole users do, which is kind of awkward when it gives you a bad one in free play. Super Strength can break orange handles. Smash can break cracked walls. Aquatic characters like Kit Fisto can dive into little context sensitive pools to get to secret areas. Gas masks make you immune to poison clouds. Jackets and other bulky equipment make you immune to ice clouds. Characters like Boba Fett have jetpacks, and the equivalent Seventh Sister has the stupid lightsaber helicopter thing to jump further horizontally. Resistance members can open resistance panels. First Order members open First Order panels. Protocol droids open protocol panels. Astromechs open astromech panels, and some droids can zap electric paths to open doors, and BB-8 can operate these little circles to do a variety of things. I guess calling it a reduction is kind of a lie. There's still quite a bit of abilities, but the characters are well condensed, I suppose. The Jedi and Sith do all the Force stuff. Most gunners do 2 or 3 things, usually either shooting and grappling, or shooting and grenading, or shooting and rapid firing. Han shoots and scans, Leia shoots and commands, Chewbacca shoots and grenades, Phasma rapid fires commands and has grenades. It's really never that hard to find a character that does what you need, maybe in part due to the character's iconic natures, even the Episode 7 newer characters, but the roster is simple and strong and includes lots of throwback characters via the Carbonite Brick collectible and by DLC, which is also a nice addition to what is otherwise a very Force Awakens heavy roster full of like filler background characters, plus J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy, because why not? As far as non-core gameplay goes, there's really just vehicle stuff in 2 flavors. Auto-scrollers from behind, essentially like fast-paced Star Fox likes that tend to be very flashy and exciting, although they are very simple, and dogfights, which are themselves fast-paced and exciting aerial combat with good controls and lots of freedom in movements that only sometimes get disorienting, which is kind of an important part of making a fun dogfighting sim. Both are very fun little sideshows that come up quite a bit, obviously, and yeah, they're simple fun, and that's pretty much all the gameplay. It's a LEGO game, we've been here before, and we will again. We've stripped back the open world stuff as much as possible, and the levels are back to being the focus, which makes the game tight, compact, and fast-paced. LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens is a great looking game, the Star Wars ones usually are. Characters are very expressive and well animated, varied, and there's tons of love and care put into the stupid one-offs like the portions man and these stupid robot cows, and BB-8 is, I got sick of him real quick, but he's a cute little soccer ball. The game also has this shiny sheen to it that's really appealing. It makes it kind of look like real Legos, not as much as like the Lego movie or anything like that, but that and the fantastic cutscenes and set pieces, very, very high quality. The little dioramas of the world of The Force Awakens are great, and they're packed with tons of details, and especially movement from background extras this time around, which is usually something these games forget. Although the settings are definitely more limited by the context of the game, like the desert theme of Jakku does get a bit dry, as do the Imperial buildings and insides of ships, although much less so. And it's rare to find settings beyond those outside of the bonus missions, which are always nice treats when they come up. There's a surprising amount of unique lines for characters by their actors here. The movie had a ton of push, but it really does make the game feel even more special that so many of the actors at least have tiny little lines thrown in here and there that are unique to this game, as it really makes the game feel like it was an integral part of the movie's marketing. And the sound effects, of course, are all from the movies too, and fantastic, as is much of the music. The Force Awakens is a pretty impeccable game as far as it goes for its presentation. The game starts on the Battle of Endor from Return of the Jedi. The padding comes really early in this one. Return of the Jedi is almost entirely irrelevant to the events of The Force Awakens, and I don't want to hear none of that Rise of Skywalker shit. We all know that movie hadn't even been thought up yet. It wasn't even thought up when it was finished. Don't get me wrong, it's cool to see a classic level in the new style, and it looks very nice. Like, it is so crazy to compare this to the complete saga. And there's some fun moments. You get to drive an AT-ST for a little bit, do some of the third-person shooting as kind of a tutorial, do the Luke and Darth battle thing. It is kind of weird that the game just gives you a free Dark Force user so early for free. It kind of invalidates all the Jedi you get later, but, And blowing up the Death Star with the Falcon is a great flashy set piece that happens to be a great money generator as well, and really starts the game off with a bang. It's a great level, but to be this desperate this early is maybe a sign they should have waited for more movies, The Force Awakens actually starts with the attack on Jakku. One player gets to be BB-8 the doorman for most of this level. Not to say Poe is immensely exciting as a character either, but he's at least not a soccer ball who opens doors. The level's fine, the nighttime setting and Burning Village are very unique visually, and it's a flashy start to The Force Awakens proper, but it is a little bit of a weak one for at least one of the players involved. Escape from the Finalizer is mostly good. The stealth sections in these LEGO games are never great, but it is a prison break with Poe and Finn that leads into the first dogfight, and the relaxing bit with Rey's Jakku life is pretty nice, even if one player is stuck with BB-8 again for most of that. Nema Outpost is like that classic Star Wars line, this is where the fun begins, but instead this is where the filler begins. Half of this level is Finn, Rey, and BB-8 shitting around in the desert. It's not a bad thing, it's a little more clever than the past couple levels have been, but it's not movie content until the TIE fighters start swooping in, at which point it just devolves into a third-person shooter segment and a tiny little Falcon flight. But the stretching is already very obvious. I hate to say it again, but maybe they should have waited for the next movie. Kanji Club is so stupid. Oh my god. This is the funniest line. Tell that to Kanji Club really is this movie's They Fly Now. The Irvana is the Rathtar level. I like the switching perspectives between Han and Chewie and Finn and Rey as it goes on, but most of it is the worst of the third-person shooting. Tiny cover that you can't move around in much, and just shooting at the designated thing to make the scene move forward by getting the Rathtar out of the way. The boss fight, very generously described as such, as just waiting for the big Rathtar to smash something that lets you inch its health down. It's generally one of the least inspired and visually interesting levels in the game outside of the smooth transitions between the character sets. Maz's castle is filler. In the movie, Rey kind of just shows up and gets the lightsaber and leaves. Maz refuses to explain how she got that lightsaber with her disgusting butthole eyes and never shows up in the movie again. Basically doesn't show up in the entire series, but you know, that'd be like 5 seconds a game. So instead her gate is guarded by a sleeping monster man you need to wake up. The bar itself needs to be cleaned up of goblins, like Lord of the Rings goblins. And her basement is an Indiana Jones-esque ancient tomb. It's admittedly a pretty fun and unique setting, even if this level is largely combatless and kinda meandering. On the other hand, the Battle of Takodana is all combat, shooting segments, a cool ship segment over the lake, a little boss fight against the baton trooper guy. I mean, it's just one of those wait for him to do his things and hit him afterwards fights with an occasional builds when he does like this slam attack thing. It's okay. It's kind of fun that this random side character left enough of an impression to be the first real boss. I mean, second after the Emperor, but like the first real boss of The Force Awakens. But, you know, it is what it is. The Resistance is Omega filler, genuinely just doing errands at the Resistance base while waiting for the plot to move forward so that they could hit 10 main levels. You're moving cargo, feeding 9 num cookies. There's nothing going on. It is an aggressively boring level on top of just being straight up filler. I do not know why they insisted so hard on hitting 10 main levels. They really did not have to. They could have just done anything else as a bonus level. Starkiller Sabotage. Finn, Chewie, and Han isn't the most varied set of characters, but the snowy exteriors of Starkiller are refreshing and new, and it's a pretty fun romp to the interiors where it kind of devolves into shooter sections, including against Phasma, who's kind of a boss and kind of just drags on for a little too long. Is there a lore book that explains how Phasma got off of Starkiller Base alive after they put her in the trash compactor and the planet blew up so that she could be in the next one and fall in a big hole? Is there a book about that? Destroy Starkiller Base is interesting. After a basic ship segment, it transitions to Rey's escape, notably a segment of the movie where she's entirely alone. In this case, player 2 plays as a mind-controlled stormtrooper who has goofy animations to go with that, and I think that's really cute. Plus, it's one of the few true asymmetric spots in the game, as Rey has an upper path only she can jump up to, and a lower path for the trooper, and they have a funny little exchange as they go their separate ways towards the end. And once all the main characters are reunited, the bomb area is fairly open-ended and lets you spread out some, which is surprisingly unique for this game. Pretty good level. The finale kinda is just what it is. The ship battle above Starkiller is pretty great, although the ship battles usually are, and the Kylo Ren fight is a bit disappointing. It's a lot of quick time events to try to emulate the cinematography of the fights. Both players get a turn at it while the other one kinda just waits around. It does look really, really good, but it's not hugely exciting for either player, and I mean, I'll talk about this fight some more when I talk about the movie, I suppose. The epilogue on Luke's Island is pretty cute. It's in the movie for about 30 seconds, so there isn't a ton to adapt from it, but the verticality and serenity of it all are nice. It's really funny that at a certain point the level just has you leave Chewie behind. Very funny in co-op. It's a pretty nice wrap up for the main levels, kind of just a comfy little reward level. I'd be pretty hard pressed to say that The Force Awakens isn't adapted well. The filler, especially on the Rebel base and Maz's castle, is a bit of an eye roller. There's enough bonus levels here to offset it entirely if this game was just adapted into 9 levels. I guess the Return of the Jedi level could probably go too, but it is pretty charming to see how far we've come. The game hits literally every single beat in the movie, including the ones that aren't just the action set pieces to a slightly egregious extent. But the movie is also a dumb action movie that would have fared fine alongside other movies had they waited. All of the exciting stuff is there, you get to play through it, and when you do, it's fun. I just wish it was a little leaner. 8 bonus levels. Wow. Pretty good number. One of these is available once you beat the game, the next 6 are unlocked via gold brick milestones, the first at 10, then every 10 until 60, and the final is unlocked at 249 gold bricks. The obligatory LEGO City, maybe the easiest one the series has ever had. We'll cover them in that order. First up is Dejeric Battle. You know, the weird chess game that Chewie plays on the Falcon. It's combat waves with wacky characters it gives you, and it rewards you with pretty substantial amounts of money, plus the little chess piece guys. It's, you know, the characters are pretty fun to play as, especially the big guy, but it is literally just a simple combat arena. Poe to the Rescue is based on an episode of the series of LEGO short movies The Resistance Rises, and follows Poe rescuing Admiral Akbar from prison transport above the planet Dakwar, a lot of which takes place in a trash compactor. Despite the obvious recycling from prior Star Wars stories, it's a pretty fun set piece. The compressing and reopening of the chamber leads to some fun changes in the environment, and the big finale is a chase through an asteroid belt, which, yeah, I mean, that's cool. It's also stolen from another Star Wars movie, but it is a nice introduction to the proper bonus levels. In Lor San Tekka's return, we're back on Jakku prior to the events of the film, where Lor San Tekka teams up with some jetpack guy. I kind of like the weird mechanical fortress environment here, and getting a jetpack guy is fun. That's all I got to say on that one. Rathtar hunting is a trip to Tuan Kati, where Han and Chewie got the Rathtar. Tuan Kati is a very nice break from the usual. It's a cave planet full of large flowers, Rathtars, and waterfalls. Like most of these bonus levels, it's fairly straightforward and short, but the waterfall climb is a nice set piece, and it ends in a fairly fun shootout. Not bad at all. The Crimson Corsair follows that red guy who's in 1 second of the movie in Maz's bar, plus this little gremlin and a giant foreskin man on the rainy planet of Karak as they attempt to steal a First Order ship. The best part of this level is the roster. Foreskin has strength and a minigun, the gremlin has grenades. It's a little bit different from the usual, and the rainy First Order base is a pretty charming setting. There's nothing majorly of note here, but it is one of the stronger bonus levels. Trouble over Ta'ul is a return to the LEGO Star Wars tradition of a villain level. Phasma and the Baton Stormtrooper, yeah, sure, I guess people really like him. Most of it is shooting segments, but there are a few pretty cool segments, like the shooting segment in the twisting gravity room and the brief area with exposed space all around it. Plus, it's been a while since we had a good old-fashioned villain level, since the third game basically skipped that little tradition. Might as well do another villain level too. Kylo and Phasma and Autogon assault on Arthon, hunting down these weird neck guys. Most of this is ship stuff that works well enough, but the big assault on Arthon is kinda cool too. It brings back that old mechanic that I don't think has been around since like LEGO Star Wars 2, where you force back missiles that are being launched at you. That feels like it's been gone forever. That's a really fun one that they should have used a little more. Yeah, none of the bonuses are anything all that spectacular, but they're all decent if short levels that extend the game and fill in the void left by only basing the game on a singular movie. They're pretty on par with most of the levels in the main story, especially in like the fact that so many of them have unique settings, and they're really only held back by the fact that most of them are quite a bit shorter than the main levels. As for the final bonus, Starkiller Destruction is a space variant of LEGO City, where you zip around and shoot planets until you hit $1 million. It's a very quick and painless LEGO City. The planets respawn. It's almost comical how simple it is compared to like the original LEGO City, which is just this awful, tedious mess that takes 45 minutes. There's nothing to say about it. You can see it here. You just fly in circles and hold down the attack button. Yep. Big game means big money means DLC. Most of it is characters from prior movies and series, plus a few from Rebels, which was new at the time, and 4 additional levels. Let's shotgun through it. Poe's quest for survival is the first of these and follows Poe's adventures after crash landing with Finn on Jakku. In the movie, he just shows back up again with no explanation after everyone thought he was dead, so this level is like the missing piece to that. The level's a short Jakku romp with a little guy in tow, centered largely around a little cowboy saloon. Seeing more Jakku is a tad repetitive as far as it goes, but the unique little Old West town is a fun little setting, and the level breezes by quickly enough. It's decent. The First Order Siege of Takodana is Takodana, but as Kylo and Baton guy. He is getting so much play here. Starting with the ships again feels a little bit lazy, especially because it's pretty much the same as the first time, but shooting the other guys. But the ground part is entirely new and lets you beat up a variety of scoundrels from Maz's bar, who each have different appearances, which is a very cute little detail. It's a little wimpy as DLC, it probably could have been a bonus, but it works well enough. Escape from Starkiller Base follows a pair of rebel pilots and their droid after they crash on Starkiller just before it explodes. The snowy night setting and new characters are pretty fun, and the big finale, a speeder race across the exploding planet, is probably the best vehicle section in the game. It's an absolutely fantastic set piece. It basically rivals like the start of the game where you're going through the Death Star with the Millennium Falcon. It's pretty cool. Lastly, we have the Phantom Limb based on the C-3PO comic where he gets the stupid red arm. You get a whole pile of droids that are left on Taul, none of whom can jump, which poses a unique navigational challenge and also makes this a very fun level to break in free play. And each of these droids needs to use their unique abilities to get around as they slowly get picked off by giant spiders and acid rain. It's one of the most unique and interesting ideas for a LEGO level in a very long time, and while it is fairly slow paced, I like the variety from having so many characters down to the mouse droids and gonks, plus the very unique setting. It's a pretty killer finale for the DLC, all things considered, although the DLC does largely feel like more bonus levels, down to having another Jakku level and a generally short runtime on them. I have absolutely no idea what they cost. I have the special edition of the game that came with the season pass, but they're pretty decent. They're not terrible, they're not great. I think they lean a little more towards strong than the bonus levels typically did, outside of the kind of lame Takanana one, but, you know. Well, I guess it's time to talk about the movie. The Force Awakens is a good movie with like 10 asterisks. It's fast-paced, it's fun, it's flashy, the coloring and lighting and cinematography are all great. The cast is fine enough. The old people are honestly worse than the new ones. The action is spectacular, especially when it comes to the aerial combat. It has all of the goods of J.J. Abrams and a lot of the bads. Just like with the Star Trek movie. Poor planning hurt this movie a whole lot. With no plan for its sequels, a lot of stuff is kind of just nonsense, like the mystery of Rey's parents, Snoke as a character really, who's said to have seduced Kylo to the dark side, which is just factually not true. It was Luke trying to kill him that did that. The story of Luke's lightsaber just being found somehow, which never gets resolved. C-3PO's dumbass red arm. Not to mention the fact that they kill Han Solo halfway through the movie, which would be fine, but they really bet on the wrong horse with that one when Carrie Fisher died. And that's before getting into some of the eye-rolling stuff that's just a part of the movie itself and unrelated to the future of this franchise. Like ending it with Rey completely blowing Kylo the fuck out in battle, which completely atomizes any threat he could have had as an overarching like rival antagonist character for the rest of the movies, since Rey can just beat him again. We've already seen her do it once, so like what's the threat if he comes back? Rey can just kick his ass a second time. Him being injured really, I know that that's like the common cope, like oh he got shot and he had a slight boo-boo. It really does not save that from being the case. He was trained by Luke and Snoke and he gets blown out by a woman who had never heard of the Force until like 3 hours ago, easily. It really undermines any tension or excitement the franchise could have had going forward. There's also kind of not a ton to say about this movie in general, because it's pretty generic, and it's 75% a remake of A New Hope with modern effects. It definitely lacks the quiet or emotional moments of that movie that are absolutely some of my favorites, like the Twin Sunsets, in favor of being faster paced, flashier, being a Disney movie. And it's dumb fun if you don't think about it too much, but it's really hard to separate it from its terrible sequels. As for the other two things that they drew from, I also watched The Resistance Rises, the Poe to the Rescue episode. It's a 7-minute LEGO short. It's well animated, but less substantial than the level based on it. And the primary joke that is told 13 times throughout this 7-minute short is that C-3PO always keeps bringing up that stupid red arm between every single action scene. Anytime there's dead air, C-3PO's going on and on about that stupid red arm. They were really swinging for the fences with that one to sell the C-3PO comic. It's a cute short, well animated, not a ton to say about it. I don't have much more to say about the C-3PO comic itself. I think the art style is kind of interesting. It's definitely colorful and tries its best to make the story interesting through lighting and landscapes, because it's obviously like the nature of C-3PO is that you can't have a lot of action or movement. But the story itself is also trying to be a more pontificating Star Trek type story. Robots pondering their purposes and past since they get their memories wiped so often, the way they're forced to be on sides against their will and the bonds they make despite that. But the problem is that C-3PO is fucking annoying. And I don't know why the First Order robot becomes friends with him or sacrifices himself for C-3PO, since all C-3PO really does is be like, I'm the leader, and also I'm the most useless one, so everyone should die for me, including you, buddy. They kind of just hang out for a while, and the First Order bot is like, yeah, I'm kind of feeling like I should be a good guy now, I don't know, or like I'm just tired of living, see ya. Maybe a C-3PO comic and the red arm gimmick mystery box thing were just kind of bad ideas, I don't know, just spitballing a little bit. LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens is perfectly fine. It was nice to return to the Star Wars subseries, which has always been my favorite by far, but it's also a very, very stretched adaptation that probably should have been held off for at least one more movie, or at least throw some episodes like Rebels in there or something. Probably the whole trilogy would have been best though. It feels a little premature and awkward for being the first part of the trilogy. It's a really well made game. It's faster and smoother than ever, absolutely fantastic looking, has great level themes, a fun new gimmick with the third-person shooting. The vehicle missions are just out of this world as far as like spectacle and play goes, but the levels do stand out as a little plain and fillery very often due to the format of the game, and really that's the biggest problem with it. The whole thing is basically average. It's fun, it's short, it's quick, it's probably the one we got through the fastest. The levels are very tight and compact, and most of them are decently well designed. And I like the idea of side stories as little bonuses and DLC levels, but it's also fairly forgettable in the grand scheme of things, perhaps because the sequel trilogy crashed and burned so hard that it kind of buried this game with it. It's a perfectly adequate LEGO game, and definitely worthy of being another entry in the LEGO Star Wars series, but it's far, far from the strongest as far as this goes. It's probably, like if I had to rank them, it's definitely below 3 in the complete saga. It might slightly beat out 1 and 2 just for how primitive they are in comparison, but it is pretty middle of the road as far as these LEGO games go.